Hello. Well, I'm still working on the mermaid story, but you know, that is what it is. Um, Past that with the writing thing, I'm planning on uh probably working on a thriller of sorts or a horror. I haven't decided which, but I'll find out. And I, of course, need to work on my Sasquatch romance. Yeah, I'm totally doing it. I'm totally doing it because I'm sorry. The idea of what if Hallmark made a Sasquatch erotica. I mean, come on. I'm here for this. I need to. So I'm gonna do that. Like, yeah, exactly. We need. So that's what I'm working on writing wise, and I'm currently reading. And that I finished that Shifter book finally. It wasn't bad. Like when I say finally, it's more along the lines of like how long it took me to actually be able to sit and focus. That was purely me, not uh, book itself. And now that I have up in my dosage and my ADHD meds, I am now able to actually sit and read. And I'm reading this thriller that was published in 2001, and originally it was priced at $7.99. Wow. Uh, but I got it for $2.99, and it's called Dead. Well, because it's used. But it's called Dead Sleep by Greg Iles. There it is. Excuse me. And it's about a photojournalist. Like the first chapter is this photojournalist goes to an art museum in Hong Kong and sees this series of paintings where people are speculating whether or not the women are dead or alive. And she sees one painting. She sees one painting that looks exactly like her. Here's the kicker: she has an identical twin who was missing 13 months prior. Yeah. And so now, yeah, and that's just the first chapter right there. So I'm not really spoiling anything in this book. So yeah, yeah. So it's so far like just quick movement. I mean, I'm on chapter 5 right now, so I'm not like really hitting it, but still good. And I like this author, so yeah. What about you? Oh yeah, I forgot. I am too. With you. Ah, what about writing? They are. They are. You don't have much time. You need to do it. To knock it out. Yeah, you'll get it. Yeah, yeah. You got this. Yeah, yeah, we got this.
So like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got this. We yeah. So I say you should um go ahead and say what books we're going to discuss from the Throne of Glass series because I sure as get up have forgotten titles of the books. Not necessarily, yeah, I've forgotten the titles, not necessarily the sequence. So you get to announce those as well as give a synopsis of the books. So go ahead and do with the next one.
all right. So today we're gonna be talking about Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire. Book number two and book number three.
Okay.
Um, it's a kind of summed up version of the second book. We have it where Selena is still in the palace. Um, she's just gotten back from one of her like murder things she has to do for the king who's champion now. Um, and you see a bunch of like rebels kind of starting to come into play. You meet some past like archers, like everything.
I think that's his name. Yeah.
They're
I just know I just think of him for his profession, honestly. That's
yeah,
the only thing that I'm like, male prostitute.
they're all trying to like get her to join the cause. Basically, her friend Nahumia is all like, "Why are you following these people? Do better. Do this." And then we meet the best character of the whole series, Mort, who's door knocker, and because she's going through like a little scavenger hunt in the castle, and demons show up, and things are just getting kind of spookier, and you're like, "This is not where I thought this series was going." That's kind of been my story.
Hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're about to go in depth. So here's a spoiler warning. Get out while you can.
All right. Now the warning's done. Uh, so my yeah, there you go. We're going now. My thoughts on this book was that it was better than Throne of Glass. So this is the funny thing. It's like chronological thing is basically how I feel about each book. So it worked out, except for like Tower of Dawn. Yeah, except for like Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn is probably um close to this one. Yeah, Tower of Dawn is probably Crown of Midnight for me. Um, but it wasn't a bad book. I had some feels about it. Like, I don't. All right, first off, I will say this. I did say prostitute. Sex worker is the right way to say it. Archer is a male sex worker. There's nothing wrong with sex work, in my opinion, as long as it's done ethically. Ethically.
I don't feel like I feel like prostitute fits it more because he's more forced into it. He's more like a slave. He's got the tattoo branding. He can't do anything else until he gets out of
Hmm.
the
Valid. Valid. The poor man doesn't have a choice. You're right.
That's not
Yeah.
relevant.
Okay. Well, if we're looking nitty gritty, that's what it is. Yeah. But that's no, that's a good point though, because it's not by choice. It's by association, essentially.
Soul basically to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's So I think so. Like, all right, one thing I don't like in this book, and it's not even something that I don't like right at that moment. It's something that I realized later on, and I'm like, wait a second, this bitch, and it's Nehemia. All right, yeah. Now she's our token black girl currently, and unfortunately, uh, this is where the controversy that comes to some readers about um, Sarah J. Maas, and that's this character dies purely to motivate our protagonist, who's a white blonde. And yes, that does bother me. I think it could have been done a little bit different. However, I personally love how graphic the death was. I'm going to put it out there. But I like that gruesome shit. I don't like that she has encompassed this stereotype. And I don't like, especially don't like, the fact that this chick planned it. She planned her death. It wasn't a, you do. Because she goes, you do. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know the.
Oh, she, was part of this group and did this to this, but like you don't know how long she knew about this and like how much of it she's been fake.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I feel like.
Yeah, but she knew enough. She knew. The thing is that she knew enough that her two guards, because this chick is a princess, so she's got guards. She's also a kick-ass character too. Her two guards die with her. So my question is, did she drug the poor bros and then kill them herself? Or did
Like, how can you.
you can detail in the sense that she was like torn to pieces?
I met on how her guards died. Like, we don't get like the scene of Archer coming in and killing her. Like we know how he gets in, but like, was she just sitting there and pretending not to notice him and like, oh no, you caught me, sort of thing, or like, like we don't have.
Mm,
It's not
yeah,
important.
like yeah, because like the poor guys, the poor guards who are trained and are probably trained even better than her. If you think about it, they're supposed to be guards. Yeah, if not better, then at least equal to her. But I would assume it's a bit better. And because these guys are seasoned guards. I mean, they wouldn't be. I don't see her parents sending her a kale to watch over her. I'm just saying. Okay, and so that means that she had to have planned a way to subdue them so that this guy could kill her.
Because 3 against 1.
And then on top of that,
Yeah,
exactly.
probably did. Probably did.
Yeah.
Damn. That makes it so much worse thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if she didn't, then she just sat there and just watched them get killed and then sat there some more and was like, there's something wrong with this. I would have liked it better if guards were still alive and they come in.
Away or something, and then let herself die. That sort of situation. Yeah, that would have been way better.
Yeah, and then they came in. Yeah, and then they would have been like, "Oh crap, what has happened?" And then it would have been even more interesting because then you could have had the king be like, "Oh, you guys didn't do your job." Oh,
That could have been even another motivator.
yeah,
Even more. Ooh, that would have been way
yeah. See, that that would have been awesome. Or she, in her anger, we know that she attacked Kale, but maybe she could have attacked the guards and might have killed one of them. And then and then you have that guilt for her.
That's true, but I also think she would have been
So like
Tails
feel bad.
because yeah, even though he wouldn't have warned them, she could have blamed them way easier than
Hmm.
Tails.
Yeah. So that whole mess. That was a whole mess. And then of course the rebels too. Honestly, they are not an organized bunch at all. And my thought was like you you are run by an old man who's like technically been a part of the friggin' court.
Leave him alone. Mark Paul is perfect in every way.
I love him. I love him. I love that man. But the thing is that oh, he's a great man. The fact that no one in this rebellion was listening to him. And it's like you guys do realize you have this person who's yeah, and it's like and yeah, I understand that he didn't want to put himself in a position of power in general, but you were your grand
I feel like once the powers switched to him and his grandson, things got better. It was just when Nehemia and Archer were kind of needing this best they could. That's when it was tough. Once they were out of the picture and
yeah,
picked up the, everything pretty much went up kind of a lot smoother.
yeah, exactly. And imagine that.
Then we didn't really get to the inner work before. So that could also have a thing on how we think they are.
Yeah, there is that, but it's like still, it just seemed a little really, guys. Yeah, no sense of organization. Yeah, and the fact that they're like, oh, we're gonna do our secret notes and we're gonna send letters to each other. That's a bad idea.
Yeah,
First off, don't do that. No, you guys don't have cell phones. Come on, guys, that's a bad idea. How about you just, I don't know, have like meetings in a crappy looking tavern or something, or like just walk by each other. Don't rely on messengers.
I mean, it works for certain things, but yeah,
It,
for the most part, going out, lots of death.
yeah, honestly, they needed help from the KGB. It's that simple. The KGB could have helped these guys out, but the CIA could have helped them out too. Yeah, their spy network is not the greatest at all. I mean, aside from those in the book, that's really the only things that really bothered me. Um,
I have some like on the surface complaints, like Selena falling in love with Kale over Dorian. Poor choice. Um, we had a play. We went for the boring best person
I
stuff.
mean,
I get her reasoning.
so here's the thing.
She's the secret princess, and she's like, all right, I can't be with him.
No, I don't even think it's that. No, see, I don't even think it's that. I seriously think she just genuinely doesn't care for Dorian in that way. She's just like, no, he's like a brother to me. Gross. And, or at least like distant cousin, because they kind of are. But yeah. But I'm just saying. But like what I think a little bit, but not a, but I think it was more along the lines of like she realized, yeah, this is just not going to work out. We're better as friends. What I think is the reason why she chose Kale is because of how similar he is to Sam.
That's true.
Kale,
It's very much.
Kale was totally, yeah,
Actually, yeah, they're
Kale was never going to be Endgame.
well, Taylor was Dorian. I
And,
wasn't saying I wanted Dorian to be in game. I'm just saying I was
oh yeah,
that was the better one, and I wasn't sure which.
yeah. Well, but it really is because she was still hung over about Sam. Yeah, it's really what it was. And it's so yeah. So that means Kale. Basically, we're gonna get into Tower of.
What is the word?
I can't think of it right now either.
Someone asked me, why can't I think of it? It's the most basic thing, and my brain's not working.
I can't either. It's not a fallback person. That much I know. It's
Uh, He's gonna bug me forever. You
not
keep
sloppy
saying,
second.
no,
It's gonna
I know. You keep saying what you're gonna say. I'm gonna think about this. This or that.
yeah. So like my thought is that Sam is this altruistic brunette dude and everything else, and then of course Kale is the same thing, and that's why she's attracted to that because she wants that normalcy because she was never going to tell Kale the truth, just like she was never going to tell Sam the truth. Honestly, putting it out there, she was never going to tell Sam, because she had no intention of ever being a princess and future queen of another country. She had no intention of doing that. She was like, I'm just going to live my life because I deserve to live my life. And, you know, there you go. Uh, they would never have worked out because Kale likes to have a, you know, a housewife of sorts. Not necessarily an actual housewife. Oh, what's the word?
Rebound.
Rebound. Yes, that's it. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is her rebound. And on top of that, if you think about it, if so, we're gonna. Yes, I would say that for me, Tower of Dawn is exactly Crown of Midnight. So now look at it this way: Kale is synonymous for having rebound girls, right?
All the time.
England has rebound boys. Yeah, England has rebound boys. They're two alike in that regard, and I think that they actually are.
Make each other feel better and to be able to move on from because he was the last girl he'd been with had left him for the prince's cousin. So like he also basically kind of used her as rebound. It's just
Yeah. So they
wow.
kind of similar in that regard, and they are. Yeah, it is what it is. And I mean, but if you look at it, this. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why she knows the how quick this person can die on you, and she was like, I better jump his bones before his bones are no longer.
I feel like that's exactly what it is now. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a rebound, and the problem is that if you also if you look at the way that they are in personality, they're actually very similar as well in how they interact with their anger too. She attacks people, not physical attack, but she's attacking people in her anger. He attacks people too in his anger. He's verbal, exactly. So they're actually very similar in that regard. It's just that the only reason why they never would have worked out is because um one, he's a little too altruistic for her, and two, she's a little bit too feral for him,
That's why. Oh,
and that's why they just would never have worked out. Right. right?
once again.
Yeah, like the fact that he completely forgets it is. But see, I mean, and I'm gonna just put it out there with the other math books that we've read. Is he really the dumbest smart person in the room, or is he just forgetting things as easily as she kind of forgets certain things too? I just saying, like, no, I do like this series. It's just that there seems to be moments, at least not in this series. There's like one thing that really is complete dead thing.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, this one's pretty solid. It's the
forget Paul for a moment. Let's
oh, absolutely.
land of happiness and talk about our favorite gold or doctor.
Okay. Did you think of the Alice in Wonderland doorknob too?
Every single time.
Because
I never watched Christmas Patrol or even a
yeah,
different doctor. I saw him
yeah,
with the doorknob and he looked like the dude from Alice in Wonderland. 1,000%.
yeah, yeah.
Forever more.
But what's funny is that there's actually this anime I've watched, which has to do with a young man who goes into a he essentially he gets flushed down a toilet into a demon world. Um, you know, some bully swirlied him, and he ended up in the demon world, and he becomes the king of all demons. And in the process of it, he has a got better. Well, yeah, it really did get better because he became king. Uh, and he's got a fiance too. Happens to be one of well, was a boy, and it's yeah. Well, they're in this anime, their way they go in engagements is very strange. I think Aelin would have appreciated it because if you slap the person, you're now asking them to marry you. And so that's what happened is that this young boy slaps another guy, and everyone at the table are like, dude, regret it. Just say you're sorry. It'll be all right. He goes, no, I'm not going to. What are you talking about? No. And they're like, so you're serious about this? And he goes, yeah, I'm serious about this. What are you talking about? I slapped him for a reason. And then, gets engaged. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, Aelin would love that.
Congratulations, you're getting married.
Punched her in the face and she was like, that's the one.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what makes it funny because it's like, yeah, she'd appreciate this. But in the anime, there's a magical sword. There's a magical sword that kind of has like this scream ghost face, the ghost face as its face, and it's called Mort. And so I had a mashup, right? So I had a mashup of the sword and the doorknob together. And I was like,
Oh,
this is my mental image.
beautiful.
Yeah. And sassy.
I love how sarcastic and
Doorknob is sassy. I love it.
he's constantly like, do better, I guess. Girl. I don't know what the riddle is. Or do I? I do, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And we never know what happens.
I loved it. I know. That's awful. Like, I assume he survives. But then again,
But I'm sad that we never got like just a little bit of a hey, he's okay. I get it. No one's had time to go back to the
yeah, it's him and Philippa that just kind of disappeared. And, too.
yeah, because we don't hear what happens.
Well, that and also, it's like, these are minor characters. Who cares, you know?
I think. What?
Yeah, I do too. So there.
Dorian turning into
He,
Elsa. That's what's good about this book. Wakes up to
Dorian
Oh no.
Dorian with his ice magic is pretty cool. That I liked that.
He's like, I'll let the love of my life go.
Yeah.
I'll stay away from all because I love them. Ice everywhere and I don't know what's happening. He's my favorite.
Which again leads me to how much Nehemia is a butt face because she goes and promises him. She's like, "No, I'll help you out when I'm ready."
She said, "Come to me when you're ready."
And it's like,
and then lets herself die and never.
Then she gets killed.
And then later on, she's like, we find out that she was talking to Ghosty Elena and was like, "He'll never be ready. It has to be Selena." So it's like, well, first of all, as the series goes on, Ian is more powerful than Selena. I mean, so, and who is our queen, and just as capable Selena was. So I don't know where she was getting this whole "you'll never do anything."
Yeah, sense thing. He really he took to learning that shit real fast. Once like after Air of Fire, he just like, boom, all right, I'm ready. He's like savant.
Like Selena, she had years of her childhood. I know they mostly with her contained her magic as well, but still she knew basics. And then months with Rowan to figure out anything. Florian has never had magic in his life ever, and he picks up everything. Like someone tells him, a week later he's got it. He like a future book goes into someone's mind and he's like, "Oh, that's how your magic works." Does it like the next day, like anyone who.
Yeah. But like what I love is that Dorian takes a boat trip with Aylin's own teacher. He takes a friggin' boat trip. And he learns the shit. You know? He busts it out in a boat trip.
And to say that it's different because Aylin was going through an emotional time and was like blaming herself and had all of this stuff on because he's going through an emotional time too. He just killed his father. He just lost his country. He doesn't know who he is. He's going through what stuff mentally that it was. Got nothing. On my man.
But so of course all that stuff is later in the series. But still, it's like but we can't gush enough about Dorian. That's the reason. See what you did there? Yeah.
I love the beginning.
I
being like, oh, I thought he was great in the first book, and now he might be. And I don't know. There's just so much. I appreciated the way he acted. He was always so respectful. Like, he was put off as like this, I don't know, prince that would like go off and party and be with all these women and all this stuff. And like, I'm sure that really was him as a teenager or whatever. But like, we just never really see that in the book because he, like, yeah, he doesn't start off super responsible, but he is always kind. If someone says no, he's like, okay, no means no. And he sees girl he's in love with in that moment fall in love with his best friend, and he's just like, I'm gonna let her go and wish that they're happy. Like, there's never a moment where he's like, I can't talk to you, I can't meet you. He is like, all right, we're best friends now instead. That's cool. Like.
Yeah, he's a great character, and he only just begins to be even better in this book. And I like how it comes to light about him having magic and her uh, actually knowing how to open portals and everything and how they get into that. And oh shit, sorry, that's a totally different book series that popped in my head as to a connection, but I'll get to that with you later. Uh, yeah, but like I just like us seeing more of that situation and everything, and that was cool. And of course, us seeing more of this weird demonic space, um, with all these awful looking creatures and everything. That was cool.
Like, yeah, it had a little bit of spooky in the first book, but you don't really like think that's going to be the main focus. It's kind of like, oh, this is just happening to ruin the champion, thing going on, and then it becomes more prevalent.
Cool.
And you're like, horror.
Yeah, it really brought in it really brought in the horror stuff, and that was cool. And of course, then we might yeah. And uh, so this book pretty much ends with her having to run out of the country for supposedly for a job, but really it's for her own safety because she is actually a princess and a fae, not even actually. Well, she's part fae.
Let's talk for a second about that. Actually, talk about Dorian versus Kale's reaction to that. Well, I can put up my one man a little bit more and put down the other a little bit because Dorian doesn't know. But
yeah, but even though we should say this, Dorian doesn't find out until the next book, technically.
He does know that she's sneaking around and opening portals to weird places and doing magic. He doesn't know that she herself is magical, but he sees her with the runes or word marks. Sorry. And I mean, he goes along and helps her trap a demon in the library. Questions asked. It's like, oh, this is what we're doing. Let's go for it. Like, he has no idea what's going on, and he's just willing to risk his life. Like, he's like, oh, there's a secret passageway here, and I think I saw her go down here. I'm gonna follow her. Oh, we're about to die. He has no idea what's going on, and he just does whatever she tells him to do, and he's the true ride or die best friend right there.
It really is.
Like, all right, we're fighting demons. We're doing magic.
Yeah. Let's go. We got this.
And then on the other hand, you have Kale, and he's like, this woman I'm in love with, disgusting. I looked at her and she was ugly as hell with those ears. And I looked over.
Well, so here's.
She's scary. That's
So here's my take on this. Yeah. He's lived this life of racism and everything else, and so he can't grapple it. So that's his problem. And also he's just secretly in love with his boy Dorian, and that's why he's like upset with potential danger that she can put his man in, because Hale totally has it in for Dorian.
It's fine for an assassin to be near his man, but you can't have a fey princess. That's too much. Magical being who.
Well, yeah, because she has magic. Because right now, Kale doesn't know that Dorian has magic. So if you think about it.
What? Oh, It's okay for Dory. Magic.
But yeah, because it's like, oh, Dorian. Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, exactly. No, it's rough.
I'm looking at my handy dandy notes. We also forgot that we get a little bit more of Palpatine. We see her starting to go crazy down in the dungeon, talking about hearing wings and all of that stuff. You kind of start to feel a little bit bad for Palpatine at that point. You know, like
A
she lost her mind.
little bit, yeah. Honestly, dare I say it, she's a far cooler character in Zane. You know?
I mean, once she becomes Same again,
Yeah.
she's still pretty darn cool. But yeah, this is definitely where.
But no, see, the thing is that I don't think she was ever really sane to begin with. Essentially, I don't think. Yeah, because like she's like addicted to stuff and all this other things. But yeah, Caltang gets interesting, and then you don't see her for another what 2 books? Yeah.
She's in the fourth one. Because we just hear her
Yeah.
getting sent off to Morath. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's Mora.
Sent off there, and we're like, oh, yes, he's done for.
And Morath is essentially this world's version of Mordor. Yeah. Close, yeah. So I think we should just go ahead and go to Heir of Fire then.
Yeah, I mean, the best is her killing Archer in her revenge to Nehemia, and then Harold sitting there for that, and then she's like, I gotta go. And Harold says, I'm gonna get you out of here. And then she's like, look at this. And he's like, oh, he's stop and stop.
Which honestly is like the silliest way to find out, in my opinion.
The library. What does this mean?
Like, yeah, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, how could you not figure it out? Like, like earlier on.
How her parents died. You know what she looks like. You know
Like he knows the date. He knows the date. He knows.
none of
Yeah.
it, until he the little poem that talks about her eyes, and she's like, oh, yeah, I know those eyes.
Well, I mean, like, to kind of figure out that she was like royalty of Harrison, anyways, because the fact that she's singing an old Fae song at Nehemia's graveside.
She's some random Fae girl that got hunted down, but like, I don't know. He once again is not the smartest.
Still, like, come on, dude.
He was supposed to what?
Yeah.
Finding out who it was roaming all these halls and who was doing what, and he didn't find out anything. Selene found out everything. He was the one. She was like, I've been here for 5 seconds. I'm gonna find the tunnels. I'm gonna find the merchants. I'm gonna do your job for you, man. You just stay in the closet. And that's all.
Which again makes no sense. He should have known about these friggin' tunnels a long time ago. I'm just saying.
I don't see how he
would.
I mean, even Dorian knew they existed.
Yeah, well,
he knew, like, exactly where they were, but he knew they were in certain places. You know, like he knew about the escape route.
But yet he kind of did know.
I mean, he knew about the escape route one. So Kale
had
to have known about that because he would have been someone helping the princess too, right? At least I would assume so, unless
Yeah.
only royalty know these things. I don't know. I just feel like with his job title, that he should have known about this past. I don't get how
Yeah.
he fell asleep during that class.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, let's move on to Heir now. So we kind of start off here, and she was supposed to go and kill her cousin, the king, and the cousin. That's like the official reason.
But different.
And really, she wants to meet with her Aunt May and like get help so she can find the word keys that are instrumental to what's going on, so she can stop whatever human stuff. And you kind of go into the story thinking that she's like already gonna be, halfway through finding all that she needs to find out, but instead you open the book and she's chilling on a rooftop, drinking some rum, and being sad. And you're like, what?
Honestly.
But then as it keeps going, you're like, okay, no, I get it. She's finally having a break after everything that's happened to her. Like, she went from trauma to trauma to trauma, just trying to stay alive. So, like, this
Yeah.
is the first time she can actually just, like, pause. And it just hit her. It hit her hard. And then,
She doesn't cope with it well, though.
she doesn't. She's very hating herself. And she's
Yeah.
dead. And she's caught between, basically wanting to die and having the scar on her hand that shows like the promise she made to Nehemia to like, help her family and help this movement and whatnot. And she's just stuck between it. She's like, what do I do? I want to die, but I also need to stop this. And so she ends up meeting Maeve, who's bitch, and the bitch assigns her someone to keep her magic. And
This is another distant cousin.
which I but
He's a really distant cousin who just happens to be really old too. There's an age gap. It's significant.
but they're only like 450 years old. No big deal. And so, wait, no, he's like 300. But anyways, that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Um,
He's an old man.
so she sends them to Mistward. Mistward? See, I don't know how to properly pronounce
Yeah.
these things. I didn't listen to the audio. I just made up my own pronunciation.
Yeah, it's Mistward.
She goes there, and we kind of find out that they're the Fifty, because this is where all of their bastards and non-powerful Fae live, basically. Where Maeve is like, you're not good enough to live in my city. Um, you're not powerful enough, or you're too human, or call them half breeds. She has some sort of like slang that is just like distasteful. Doesn't matter. The point is, she's kind of what I mean when I say she's a bit. So they go there.
Mm.
Rowan and Erlen do not like each other. Rowan is old and cranky and doesn't want to be teaching her anything, and she just wants to die, so she doesn't want to be taught, and she's, doing whatever she has to do. She ends up kind of
Yeah.
for some people and helping with like the breakfast shift as like a way to like become creative in life other than training with them. And honestly, I think that helps get her out the most because you meet the nice old man Emmerich, you meet the fun little dude Luca, and they're kind of like happy enough that they kind of weasel their way into her heart and start kind of playing with that. And then as
Mm-hmm.
she and Rowan get to know each other more, the more she kind of reveals about herself, and the more he kind of reveals himself, and then they hate each other less and become kind of like at a mutual respect for each other, and then that gets even deeper after that. And then while they're there, not only is he trying to train her, spooky stuff starts happening. They come across this soul sucking entity sort of thing that is very Harry Potter, where you have the dude shooting on the
Yeah,
unicorn. That's how I
it,
pictured it, like
it looks, you know,
like,
it really does. It kind of has that Dementor feel to it too. So yeah, no, I agree.
basically it like feeds off of her worst. So yeah, very demented. It feeds off her worst memories and what she hates about herself, like food. And then they start finding all these strange mysteries, stuff, creeds that aren't good enough. They don't have family looking for them. All of this stuff. They're magical. They're not human, you know. And we kind of seeing that coming about and causing this. And then on the other hand, we have Hale and Dorian back at the palace doing their thing. Dorian is still kind of trying to hide his magic. He starts falling in love with a girl who is a healer. And Sorsha is
Sorsha.
starts falling in love with Sorsha. She's helping him kind of contain his magic so that no one finds out. And then while they're falling in love, Hale is with Aelin's cousin Adian, getting into rebellion stuff on accident. Just he doesn't even intend to. He was following Adian not because he was suspicious of him and doing his job, because he was like, I need some way to ensure that he doesn't. I don't even remember what he was doing. It was something stupid and not even relevant, and he accidentally realizes Adian's part of the
Well,
rebellion.
it he wanted to make sure. Yeah, he wanted to make sure Adian was not part of the Valk issue because of his ring. Because this is when we, yeah, which honestly was a smart move on Kale's part because he's kind of doing his own rebellion amidst the rebellion and the king kind of deal. He's like, I got to make sure this is. He's like, oh God, Adian
Oh, I
being
know why.
possessed is a bad thing.
It's because he was leaving to go to Aniel, where he's from, and with his dad,
Mm.
and he didn't want to leave Dorian with a bunch of possessed people around him, so he was trying to like find a way to ensure that Dorian stays safe while he was. So it was all about Dorian,
Yeah.
not about doing his job. That's what made me mad. So he stumbles across the rebellion that way, and then Gideon and him have this thing where it's like, if you tell on me, you're gonna die. Well, if you tell on me, you're gonna die. Then they end up kind of, I don't know, having a truce between each other where they're both helping each other with this rebellion, and um, the witches are introduced in this book. So we see Manon and the 13 come into play, and we start to see kind of the witch hierarchy going on, and the wyverns are introduced. So we see
which is
Abraxas.
pronounced which is pronounced wyvern in the audiobook. Ah, I agree with you. Don't worry.
But
I agree with you.
so we see their like games or whatever to see who's strongest witch and to lead the dark forces, and we're in Morass, and so we see Palpatine. No, we're not in Morass. That's we're in where are they at? What's it called? I can't remember.
It's like
We have Morass, we're not there yet, and then this one was
yeah, it's like basically the training grounds for them. I can't remember what it's called.
really matter. But they're there and they're training, they're learning how to ride the wyvern. and like I said, find out who's the strongest witch and who's going to lead them. And we get kind of like the Broken history. I know it's not pronounced that. How is it actually pronounced?
Kraken.
But anyway, so we find out their history.
See, Kraken I like because I like the Kraken thing because it sounds very German to me, and so that helps me out with Kraken. I'm like, okay, well, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, Kraken, but Kraken makes sense to me, so that's why I'm like, okay.
They're the nice history, so I want them to sound pretty. But that's not the point. So we
Well, see, I like Kraken because it sounds fairy tale-ish, and it goes with that whole, yeah. So I, so
that they like talk about their past, and we see one of those issues, and
mhm.
Manon Manon is kind of forced. Or is that the next? Is it the next book?
No, it's that book. I believe it's that book. Either way, a witch gets killed.
And
Actually, a witch died in the previous book too.
but to summarize, like, and we find out that the creepy creatures are um, actually the Vows, and they're the princes. They're like the higher ups. They're like bad guys. And three of them are sent after Aelin. And at this point, she's getting to her power. She's mostly completely forgiven herself. Not quite there yet. But she's powerful at that point. And there's this big fight. Um, Rowan calls in his padre. How do you pronounce that?
Padre. Yeah.
And so his besties show up and help kick some ass to save the people of Mistward. And well, they destroy them. Aelin, she finally shows a lot of her past, basically in flashbacks while she's being devoured by this prince. And we learned what happened with her and her parents, and how they actually died, and how she got away. That her lady Marion saved her, and that Marion was her mom's friend, and she basically sacrificed herself to help little kid Aelin run away and get the pain. Um, why can't I think of words? It's person something of Orin. Amulet of Orin? Is that what it is?
Amulet of Ormond. Yeah. I think that's it.
That around her neck, and basically that kind of protects her. And in seeing that, she realizes that that is one of the words she used. And she knows that the last time she saw it was when she was with by Arabin. Arabin probably has the word. She's gonna have to go back for it. And then she kind of forgives herself for trying to hide from her past, for letting her. I mean, she didn't actually let Marion and her family die. She was 8, but like she still put that on herself, and she kind of forgave herself for that.
Survival is guilt.
You know, basically, there was this really powerful scene where she was seeing her 8-year-old self, and her 8-year-old self coming and like grab her hand and just she just like came into her house. There was no longer a bottom to her magic. Everything, she could do whatever she wanted. Destroyed the prince with fire. Really amazing. And then after that, she has to go back into her aunt Maeve. Um, and at this point, she's kind of put together that Maeve, not just she's kind of, and so she kind of has a plan to free Rowan, who has sworn himself to Maeve, and him free so that he can pledge himself to her instead. And then mostly when we leave off with them, they're like getting ready to say goodbye to each other so we can go back to find word key. And then we go back to the castle, and bad stuff has happened. Brought up the messages again, where messages are not a good thing to send. Our lovely lovely Lady Sorsa she was an inside man for Rin, and she left one of her letters in the trash can. It is discovered, and the king calls her, Dorian, Hale, and Adrian into the throne room and says, well, he has been headed, Dorian's devastated, Gideon's arrested, Hale leaves. He said, peace out, guys.
Which, honestly,
I know, it was
well,
really a good reason.
no, if he didn't say peace out.
I know, it's actually
Yeah.
a good reason.
Like, cause,
But, and then he runs away. He rescues, but also comes back and goes out to the secret tunnels and, like, trying to keep the rebellion alive, but, like, somehow trying to kill. Dorian, like, gives him his permission to leave. Someone's got to live to, like,
yeah.
sacrifice himself, and then Dorian is
Hale
enslaved.
never.
Dorian is enslaved with a
Yeah.
collar, and now Dorian is possessed by a vowed prince, because we learned the collars hold the princes, and the rings are just regular vowed. So that's the big, summary of this. But what are your thoughts
So.
on that book?
Well, I'll be honest, I already knew that she was going to end up with Rowan. So, even though that's not established in this book, I already knew. So, I was like, okay, what's this guy going to be like? And as soon as we started meeting him, I was like, God, I don't like this guy. But I was like, well, he'll grow on me. I know that much. So, I'll wait and see. Either that or she just has a toxic boyfriend.
I was kind of turned on from the beginning. I was like,
no, I wasn't. Well, see, here's the thing. It didn't bother me that he was like, aggressive and fighting her and that kind of stuff and teaching her. What bothered me is that he didn't bother to take a step back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so at that point, I also did not like him. I didn't hate him. I know a lot of people, like, hated him from the beginning. They're like, this is awful, this is terrible. I never hated him. I guess I should have started with that. I didn't like him because I was like,
Yeah.
you haven't even asked him anything about himself. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on.
It's the same reason why I didn't like Cale in the next book. I honestly didn't care for Cale in the next book because he wasn't listening. He had his own preconceived notions and was living with it. And that's the same with Rowan. And that aggravates me. But once Rowan actually realized that he was a dumbass and talked to her, I liked him. So I was like, all right, if this guy is going to be cool, I'll see how I feel about him later. He's at least cool now. And so I liked that. I will say this. I didn't care for the romance that was Dorian and Sorsha. And the reason for that is because, well, one, I already knew who he's going to end up with. It was boring.
But I was never I was not on board with it, but, like, I didn't see the chemistry between them. I really didn't.
Yeah.
Of course, I was devastated in the scene where she died because Dorian was devastated. I was like, oh,
Absolutely.
that she died. I was sad because she was sad. So I was like, oh, it's her.
Oh yeah, yeah. The amount of love he had for her was heartbreaking. But I think if anything, she would be technically his first love. Yeah, he had a thing for Aelin, but Sorsha is his first love. I don't think she. I don't think. I think the reason why I didn't care for her and him, it's more along the lines of, he had said earlier on that he will marry an equal, and Sorsha's not really an equal for him. Not. I'm not even talking about status wise. Obviously, status wise, they aren't equals. She's a healer. He's a prince. That doesn't work. But I mean, like personality wise, they weren't really equals either. Um, there wasn't anything wrong with her as a person. It was more like I could see him coming, like I could see their relationship ending on an amicable kind of situation had she not been beheaded.
Yeah, I don't think they would have made
Uh, yeah. Um, but they would have still have been good friends. That's the way I see it. And
been a lot like him and Elon. I think it would have kind of
yeah,
been like, oh, this isn't the right
yeah.
path,
I don't.
but
Yeah, and I don't see Dorian as the type to have uh nasty breakups. So there you go. Uh, but death though, oh God, that was heartbreaking. Because here's this girl gets beheaded, and then he crawls to her head and is trying to put it back on her, like he can. Um, he's trying to back together, and it's like, honey, she's not a Lego. She's not a Lego. She dead. You can't bring back the dead. And it. Oh man,
I
just
really love that scene in the book just because it was so powerful. Like, of course, I don't love that she died, but
absolutely.
just seeing honestly everyone's reactions in that room. You see what Adian's going through in his mind,
Yeah,
his mind, everything is just so like, oh God, like serious. Like, like of course the whole
yeah.
beforehand has been
I think
kind of serious, but like there was still kind of like a almost a happiness to it, like the bad guys died and like it's a good like yes, Nehemiah died.
yeah,
Still kind of even not as like heart wrenching as like I don't know. It was just like
yeah.
this is bad. Even Dorian's not safe. It's his own son. Like it was just like this is bad. Everything's bad.
I what I like about that scene too is that, like you said, you see Adian's point of view, you see Kale's, but what you see is that Adian sees Dorian as an actual person now.
For one, yeah, and he feels bad for him, and he even
Yeah,
wanted to help him. They were all because before everything went down, he was like, "Who's the traitor?" Like he already knew it was Sorcha, but he
yeah,
doesn't say that. He's just like, "What? Who did this? Who's the traitor?" And Adian's trying to take the fall for Kale and Dorian. Dorian thinks about taking the fall for him. Kale tries to take the fall in his mind. Of course, Gideon's the one that says things,
yeah.
but like they all were like, we're gonna help each other out.
And I think that's cool because that shows Adian's respect for them in recognizing that they aren't the enemy anymore. And
The whole book,
what's great about yeah, he's like, oh, they're the enemy. I'll use them.
and yeah, it's
Hmm.
very I'm using them situation instead of seeing them for who they are, and you know that things.
Yeah, but at that moment, a bromance blossoms between the three of them. Honestly, and I do think Adian's like, okay, this guy is a cool guy, and then I gotta help him. And then you have Kale, who's like this king that I had been following, thinking I was doing the right thing. I knew he was a bad dude, but I didn't know how bad. And now I see how bad. And then he's like, you are no king of mine, motherfucker.
He said Dorian.
Boy's my king.
Yeah, that was
Yeah. and that is a huge moment right there. And then you got Dorian, who's like, unfortunately, Dorian's probably the only one who's not thinking about, the group in itself. But, cut him some slack. Yeah, cut him some slack. His girlfriend just got killed. I kind of get it. And
even then, he protects Kale. Kale was supposed to die. Arrow, I think it was going to kill him, and Dorian reacted and saved him. So, like, he wasn't good enough to save Sorsa, but he did save Kale, like, even in the depths of the worst, trauma has ever happened to him at that point in time.
Which exactly, which says a lot about him with his magic too, how quick and instinctual it really is for his control. And just seeing him giving Kale would have totally stayed. Hands down, he would have stayed and he would have fought and he would have gotten killed. But he would have stayed. But Dorian gave him permission to leave and was like, somebody. Because somebody needed to leave.
Yeah, and also Kale doesn't think that Dorian's dad would turn on him like that. He didn't know what was going on. He honestly was like, well, if someone's going to be okay in the castle, it's going to be Dorian. So I better.
Yeah, and someone has to go because when Aelin inevitably will come back, by now they realize that she's coming back, and if she's coming back, someone's got to tell her, "Hey, shit hit the fan." Yeah, cousin has been incarcerated, and the prince is stuck, and I need help.
Yeah.
So
someone had to be there to meet her to get her to help. Yeah,
exactly. And also, let's be honest, no one's going to be running that rebellion very well without Kale.
No. I mean, we'll get to Nestrin next episode, but he would have been the only smart person.
Yeah, I think if anything, Kale becoming basically the leader of the rebellion in the next book, essentially, they had like their numbers went up the roof and everything. So I mean, kudos to Kale and his leadership skills in that regard.
I give him a lot of crap, but he is a good character. I like the Riz on him, but he is a good character.
Yeah. I thought this book. Well, I also really liked that this book was basically Aelin's therapy arc.
A lot of people don't like it because of that, but I personally love seeing the therapy arc. That's my favorite part. That's why I like Court of Mist and Fury so much, is because it was a therapy.
See, exactly.
And not only that, but I relate to the way Aelin was described as a person, and honestly, I think my inner thought was very much like her in the top. So not only was it like super amazing to see her heal, it felt like almost my own healing, especially because it happened kind of around the exact time that I was going through that. So I really loved this. Like it was, I cried a lot. Really.
See, I didn't cry, but I love a good therapy arc. I really do, because I feel that the redemption arc isn't necessarily going to work if you don't have character development in general. And so, not that Aelin needed to be redeemed, but just in general, when you're doing a redemption arc, it should be more of a therapy arc than anything else. But what I like is that heroes can have therapy arcs too. And it's nicer that way, because what's interesting is that pre-Heir of Fire, you see this feral, angry person. Post-Heir of Fire, actually, she's not actually that feral. Yeah, she pretends. She really isn't. She pretends to be. And she only does that because people are expecting that. And that's what I like about at this book is because this is the moment where she completely decides to take that step. Which in a way, I hate to say this, Nehemia, but this means you didn't have to drug your guards. Kill yourself. Put it out there. So, okay. All you have to do was tell your friend, tell your friend, communicate with your friend. Don't kill your guards and yourself to get your friend to be motivated. Instead, talk to your friend and tell them, hey, I know who you actually are. You need to step up. You need to step up. Yeah. And, maybe Nehemia could have lived a little longer. I still think she probably would have died anyways, but.
Her death really did nothing. What really honestly saved Kaylin was the vows, because it literally forced her to go into her memories and face those parts of herself.
Yeah, exactly. Nehemia's death was kind of pointless, honestly. I like it. I like it for the imagery. I love it for how disturbing it was, and that it gives you an idea of, okay, this is gonna. She's amping up destruction. Ooh, something's up, and I like that, but and it didn't need to die, or at least didn't have to die in that way. I would have liked it better had um
Fighting someone else down, fighting.
yeah. See, what I would have liked is that she was with the guys, King,
And she doesn't want to like one beheaded.
at with the rebellion and everything. Yeah. Well, her and Sorsha, kind of deal, or that Sorsha tries to. Yeah, yeah. I think that would have been far more of an impact right there, because then um just it would have been a bigger thing, because like what you could have done then too is have her start teaching Dorian stuff while Aylin's over in this other country. Now I understand why Mass didn't do it that way and stuff. I just think that that might have made it a little bit stronger, and it wouldn't have killed off the token black girl in order to rise up the white protagonist. I'm just saying.
I think the only reason why it doesn't, it does bug me when that happens in books, but I think the reason why it doesn't bug me in this book is because that second book is like the last time you have a whole bunch of white people and like one black, because everything after that,
Yeah,
all these different races, and like
exactly.
it was just that one book.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, yeah, it really was. But I mean, like anything, that just shows how um new Sarah J. Maas was to writing in general. Anyways, because even during and during that time period of when the book came out, that was there's a reason why we're like, ugh. It's because it's a common occurrence
But
in books.
another thing she did though is, she wasn't just the token black girl because she had a personality. Like she was
Yes.
like an actual character, and she wasn't a cliche.
Yeah.
So like that also helped.
She was a princess too, and a started the rebellion and stuff like that. So she had importance. Yeah, and I like that Sorsha is, basically fixed. So I liked that. Yeah, um, I find it interesting that our healers are mixed girls. I'm putting it out there, but yeah, it's a little weird. But I'm not against it. It's a little weird. I was like, oh, what's happening here? And in fact, when I I was really confused for a moment because spoilers and stuff, and I was like, is it the healer Irene? What's going on here? And then of course, I was like, oh, now I know what's going on here. That's fun. But yeah, um, and that like yeah, that was like my feels about the books, honestly. Dark.
When I just looked at like now. Um,
What about you?
um, I think one of my big things is I know a lot of people do not like Manon, like starting off, and I don't know why, but I
See that?
very intrigued with the storyline. A lot of people thought it was boring or like too like that guyish, I guess. But I liked my characters with a little bit of spice, so I was pretty immediately intrigued. I mean, the first scene with her disemboweling these men that wanted to kill her, so I was like,
Yeah.
yes, please. I don't know. I was just immediately on board with it. And then we have
Okay. So for
I'm
me,
like, I'm a Dragon girl. It's also good for me.
when it comes to Manon, I at first with the whole her murdering people in the beginning, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this.
That was me. There.
I was, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. How do I feel about this character? I don't know yet. Let me see. And then later on, I'm like, okay, I see her. She's a queen. I love her. Okay, never mind. And I can understand why, you know, someone reading this book would go, "Oh, I don't like this character," because it's like, "Oh God, there's another bad guy."
And
But
then
it's
you have to hear their point of view. Yeah.
yeah, especially when you have this a little bit more altruistic kind of grouping of heroes, and it's like, well, actually, it's a little bit more. There's more to it, and I like that. Yeah, I like it for that reason. And of course, the dragons, absolutely, 100%, yes. I mean, Braxus. How can you not love him?
I love Augustus. And I love Nareen. Say, I would love anything that flies and growls and also smells flowers.
I my only concern is those. My only concern are those poor people that are walking down the street and dragons are pooping. I'm just saying, because or really running, and it oh man. And I mean, I know that isn't like described or anything, but I just I feel like I feel like fantasy books are missing out on something by not going that far in depth. I'm just saying. Because I mean, it would be interesting for someone to be like a dragon tamer or something, a dragon rider, and then they're like, I got in trouble. Now I have to clean up the poop. Do you know how awful that is? Because I mean, I'm sorry, if you're taking care of a pet, you're gonna have to clean their poop. That simple. And dragons have a litter box. That would be adorable. No, like I'm now thinking of like Toothless with. I'm thinking of Toothless with a litter box.
Is useless to begin.
He really is. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I love that he was the underdog. I love Steve. Actually, I love that whole start of that relationship because, she wanted the biggest, baddest bitch. And instead, he wasn't even supposed to be an option. He was just supposed to be the little runt that they all basically beat up and killed just to show how tough the other wyverns were. He wasn't even
Yeah.
an option. He was a base wyvern, and then he showed actually how amazing he was. And,
He's our short king.
he's our
He's our wyvern short king, honestly. And I love because I have no doubt that Noreen and the others, because the way they're described are huge. So like, he's this tiny little thing with of a girl.
flowers.
Yeah, like, and and he's and so he's like the short king with the tall lady. I love it. I'm here for it.
Oh, and then we get to introduce the spiders. I can't remember what they're called.
The Stygian spiders.
Yes. And we get hear about their special spider skill and recipes to fix Abraxo so that he can actually like, properly fly like the rest of the dragons and you know
So okay,
stuff to give them sharp fangs and claws because he didn't have his.
I understand. I understand why Manon did that, and I love it. What I don't like is that later on, no, they don't go back and go and get some more of that web. Or
They talk about it.
well, yeah, she got a bunch, but I'm
Like they don't
talking about later on, and like King, they don't go and get more to everybody else. I'm just saying, they could have like there's a time when they're over there and they could have been like, hey, let's go and get some for other people's and maybe we wouldn't have as many deaths later on.
more priority, like victim priority. But
They did, but I just like the idea. I like the idea of like all of a sudden all these witches with like shiny capes and everything, and then that would have been really cool. Exactly, that would be cool, but I understand why. Hey, priorities. We got a time frame. Can't do that. But I mean, bummer. It's a scene that would have been cool. That's all I'm saying.
any last thoughts on these two books?
No, not really. It's the next book is probably going to be a more fun one. The next two, I would say, are really. It starts amping up. Oh, it was good. It was definitely good.
Just put like so many new people introduced in this one. We get to like
Yeah.
extra people who hate like Krishna who can go die anytime now.
Oh yeah, her. Yeah.
Some new characters like Luca, who almost did die. He's growing.
Oh man.
So I'm excited to talk about this stuff next time. Any recommendations before we end our yeah?
Not at the moment. I didn't think that far ahead. I'll be honest. So for now, I will sit back. How about you?
See, I feel like I've been so immersed in the Crescent City trilogy that we've got going on right now that I haven't even really like thought about other books, and I don't
Yeah, that's pretty much.
recommend that until I know how this one ends because the first one was so good. I was all on board, like read this, read this, read
Yeah.
this. The second one was so bad, I was like, so I'm waiting until I actually finish the third one to see if I want to recommend that to people.
Yeah. No, and I'm on the same boat as you for that one too. Like I have to see if I was to go ratings, book one would have been a 4, book two would have been 3, and we'll see what book 3 is.
5, 3.
Yeah.
I'm so far in that. I'm only on chapter 20, so I also
Yeah,
have
that's basically.
one point.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll see. But I think then we'll just
We'll talk about it next time.
yeah. Bye.